All right, what's good, you guys? Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is 9/18/2025. I took two trades today. One was a loss, one was a win. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So coming into this morning, I literally had the most basic description ever for my daily buys because look at what time I sent it out at. I sent it out at market open, so I was just gonna explain everything in the Discord to everyone. But I was bullish coming into this morning. What I wanted to see was ES come and take out these Asia and London lows, create an SMT, and I wanted to see Nasdaq fucking respect this 1 hour bullish for value gap right here. And then here's what the 15-minute chart looked like. I wanted to see a resweep of these lows, and then we can possibly look for a entry model somewhere in like this leg right here. That's why this rectangle is there. Okay, so that's my that was my analysis coming into this morning. We had 8:30 news, so we had a dated news high right here. As you guys can see, we already took out the lows. And then what do we do at market open? Well, market open, we're inside this 1 hour for value gap. What do we end up doing? Well, exactly what I wanted us to do. We ended up coming down, taking out Asia and London lows, okay? And then Nasdaq ended up coming and sweeping out these lows, tapping into a 15-minute BPR while still holding these London and Asian SMTs. So I was like, cool, everything I wanted to see played out. I'm now going to look for longs up until these data highs. However, I couldn't find an entry. So there was a 1 minute for value gap in here, as you guys can see, but there was also a 2 minute, and I believe there was a 3 minute as well. Yeah, there was double 3 minutes, also double 4 minutes. Okay, and then there was also a 5 minute. So what I wanted to see is I wanted to see a closure of this 5 minute candle, or of this 5 minute for value gap, to get a 5 minute inverse. And as you guys can see, well, we edged the shit out of it. Okay, very next candle, we end up closing above it. Now, I was going to take this trade, however, my stop loss would have been below this wick, and this shit was just way too premium for me. This would have been a 55-point stop loss. However, the RR on this trade was completely fine. It was a 1 to 1.14, but it was just way too much risk I was entering with, and I wanted to see some sort of retracement in. So our next candle was our next 5 minute candle was a 10 a.m. candle, right? As you guys can see, 10 a.m. opens right here, and I was anticipating a 10 a.m. open low, maybe come out and take out these lows, create a possible SMT because ES was all the way the fuck up here, and then I can look for an inversion from there. However, we just ended up continuing to rip, which was completely fine with me. We ended up taking out data highs, and that was fine. But however, I was looking for a retracement back into these for value gaps to then take a long towards either these data highs right here or these all-time highs. Okay, we ended up sweeping out both of them. Now we have a data and all-time high SMT. And then here is the first trade I took. Okay, we come up. What do? We create this 2 minute for value gap, and then what do we have below us? Well, we have an unfilled 5 minute right here, and we have an unfilled 5 minute right here. Okay, so we have two unfilled 5 minute for value gaps, along with a data high SMT and an all-time high SMT. As you guys see, ES is right here. Data highs are right here, and all-time highs are all the way the fuck up here. Okay. So we had a double SMT in that scenario. That was my high time frame narrative. We also got a good rejection from the all-time high area, right? We didn't hit it and then chop around. We hit it and then instantly inverse this 2 minute gap. So I was like, okay, I'm going to enter off this, target the 5 minutes. This first 5 minute was my break-even point in TP1, and then TP2 was this final 5 minute down here because I went in with two minis. We also got a, what's it called? A 1 minute double IFVG. So I was like, cool. We inversed everything in this leg. I went ahead and entered off. It was like, I guess the closure of the other candle, and then we were moving around. So I entered off the closure. The 2 minute inverse stops at the SMT highs. And then as you guys can see, I got stopped out immediately. And then what did price end up doing? Well, price ended up continuing higher. And then we got a 1 minute inversion back to the downside with the same thing. Okay. Now I didn't take this trade. However, I did forward test it, and it ended up playing out. Now you may ask, why did I take this first one and not the second one? Well, we were already at all-time highs, and the only reason why I took this trade was because we had a double SMT. Now, we had an all-time high SMT, so we still had a high time frame narrative for this, and we got a 1 minute inversion with speed, but I wasn't very too confident on it because we just inversed two 1 minute gaps and a 2 minute, and then we just continued higher. So I was kind of anticipating the same thing for here. We're at all-time highs. It's pretty unpredictable. So I was like, okay, if I am going to take a trade, it's going to be a continuation model. We also had an unfilled 15-minute gap right here as well, okay? So unfilled 15 minute, unfilled 5 minute, unfilled 5 minute. All right. What ends up happening? Well, as you guys know, I didn't take the trade, so the trade ended up fucking working out, right? What is new? It took a little while for it to get there. And then as you guys can see, it took out the 15-minute, the first 5-minute, and then I don't know if it ended up coming down and taking out this other. No, it didn't. No. Okay, so we didn't end up coming down and taking out the other 5-minute, but what we did do is we did tap into this, like I said, 15-minute and 5-minute for value gap. And then from here, what do we see out of it? Well, a classic continuation model. We got a 2-minute inversion. I don't know why my thing looks like this. We got a 2-minute inversion. I entered off the inversion. Stops were at the lows. And then my TP was at these now all-time highs. Okay, so this is what the other trade idea looked like. And here, let me pull up my P&L on my Top Step so you guys don't think I'm capping. Give me 1 second. Our P&L for the day, 1378 on my Express accounts. Okay, so I didn't end up taking this trade, like I said, on my trading view, or what's it called, my TradeAvate accounts. However, I did take it on my Top Step. It ended up hitting, and then I was done for the day. So this is just a classic continuation model. We had a 15-minute for value gap tap. Again, another 5-minute tap. We were already bullish on the day, and we got a 2-minute inversion to the upside, entered off the 2-minute inversion. If you guys set a limit order at the inversion, I don't know if it ended up getting hit. It looks like it didn't, but this fair value gap ended up getting hit. And yeah, break even point was these 5-minute intermediate highs. And then, like I said, take profit was to all-time highs. Okay, so that was the 3 trades I forward tested and took today. Overall, it was a W day. I'm negative on my TradeAfy accounts. I lost $900 on my TradeAfy accounts. However, on my XFAs, I am up $1,300. So it is what it is. I guess you can say it's a break-even day. But all in all, I'm satisfied with today's results. It is what it is. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with another trade recap and live trading.